This video is sponsored by Bipolar Broadheads, Wheeler's Whitetails, Hunter Safety System, Third Arm, Extreme Archery Products, Plot Watcher, and Virtual Sign-In Board.
Welcome to Reality Hunt Club. In this webisode, we're going to be talking about the Ozonics. They're not a sponsor of ours, but we've been using them in the field and we've got some reactions. So stay tuned and hear what we talk about our first week of hunting with the Ozonics. So stay tuned. As I said in the intro, they're not a sponsor of ours. I met the guy, one of the main marketing guys out at the SHOT Show, and sure enough, I talked to him, and being an aerospace engineer, I decided I'd check them out. Now, I'd done some research. You see them all over the TV, and so I decided to try them. And when I decided to try them, I talked to a couple of my other guys, and they decided to try them too. So we bought our units. So this is an independent review. They're not a sponsor. So I just want to make that clear. Now, I'm not a big believer in the scent clothes. I think they work to some degree, the scent lock and the other clothes like that. But I still hunt the wind. Well, there's some occurrences where you can't control the wind. The scent clothes, I would buy them if they were $20, $30 more than the average clothes, but buying a top and bottom that costs $400, that's just unrealistic to me, and it's only going to last one hunting season, and you have to take care of it, and I just don't buy into that. I believe the silver and the carbon and all that does work a little bit, but I think that you see them on TV, they still get busted all the time. So with that said, the Ozonics, I'm not going to go through all the functionality of it, but the Ozonics is air comes in at the bottom and ozone comes out here. And when it's turned on, you can see, you can hear it, and you also can see the blue light in there that's making ozone. Now, ozone occurs naturally in the world. When you smell this, you say, "Hey, I've smelt that before," such as electrical shorts. Like if you had an electrical wall ever short out, or if lightning ever struck, you've smelt that. You smelt ozone before. Of course, ozone is what encapsulates the earth and keeps our atmosphere from floating out, which is O3. Now, the science behind all this makes sense. I mean, you put this above your head, and the ozone flows down, which is O3, which is heavier than the air, which is O2, and it combines with your scent going through the O2, and out comes another older molecule that's not yours. I guess that's as non-scientific as I can go into about it. Let me see. We hunted with these last week. We hunted the wind, but because we're in Georgia, there's always a case where you're going to get swirling winds, and we got that. And I had one case where I was hunting over a water hole where the wind was supposed to be in my face at 3 to 4 miles an hour, and I got in there, and sure enough, the wind was just sitting still. So when I did my puffer, trying to figure out where the wind was, it would go straight up and fall back down. But as I sat there, I could see little wagweeds going across the water hole straight to where the corn pile, where my bait pile was. So I said, "Oh boy, this is going to be an interesting experiment." Sure enough, I had 2 deer come in, 2 young bucks, and I'll go through that one in just a minute. But the Ozonics guys, they say there's 3 different events or 3 different reactions deer can have when they come across your scent in an ozone. I want to go over that. The first one is where nothing happens. The deer just walks by through your scent combined with the ozone, and it doesn't bother them. The second is where the deer walks by and they're curious and they're really confused because they smell a foreign odor, but they don't know what it is. So when they just sit there, and actually I had two of those where they were confused and curious, and I'll show you those videos in just a minute. The third one is where they bust you like normal. Hey, they smelt you, they blow, they go off. My dad, Chuck, and myself were all hunting the same bad wind where it was swirling, and we all had encounters. And four of them, including the two of mine I'm going to show you in a minute, were the curious but confused. And one of them, where Chuck had it, where the deer just blew out of there, like the ozone didn't work at all. Now, so I'm going to go over there in just a minute. But you got to remember something now, guys. We're hunting in Georgia, okay, in September, the second week of September, where it's 90, 95 degrees. You're lucky if it cools off to 85 before it gets dark. Also, I strongly believe the southeastern whitetail, which is Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, Tennessee, South Carolina, those core whitetail deer are the smartest whitetail deer in the world. Now, when I say smartest, I think what I really mean is they've evolved. They've been around people. They've had pressure on them. The hunters in those three states are a lot more than you'll see in Kansas and Iowa and Kentucky and places like that. So those deer have had to evolve. I mean, most of those deer have seen other deer die within their presence. So they are very, very paranoid of their surroundings, and they're very weary. So with that said, let's look at these videos. So one more thing. So with that said, I believe if you can fool the Georgia whitetail, you can fool any whitetail in the country, in the world. So this was going to be a really good test for us, and I had two of these occurrences, and I'll show you this. So let's look at those right now. All right, first thing, you got to know how to use this thing, and you got to pay attention. It just don't come in the mail where you can, just throw it up there. You get it in the mail, you plug it in, you throw it up there. You've got to be smart about it. You've got to know how your wind goes. You got to know how your wind direction. You got to constantly check it. Here you can see I had it above my head with the wind blowing slightly behind me from my right to left on there, trying to cover the scent right there. Now, let's look at this first one. I'm going to do the screenshots because, they were close to, one was 7 minutes and one was 7 minutes and one was 6 minutes. So this is the first buck that came in here. And now my wind was blowing straight to where that dove is in that corn pile. And you see the buck comes in. Now when I say wind, I mean it was less than 1 mile an hour. It's just swirling. But there you can see him come in, and normally I think they would run off, but it was blowing the ozone that way. And if you watch him, he's licking his lips trying to figure it out. Let me fast forward up a little bit. I'm zooming in. And I hope this video is coming out because I'm trying to do a screenshot so I can fast forward. And it seems to be bombing. And what's he do? He comes around, and now my wind's blowing to him there. And so what he's eventually going to do, he's going to loop around. I don't know. I guess he was trying to get a better wind version, but he's going to go around here. Let's see. See him? He knows something ain't quite right, but he can't figure out that odor. Let me fast forward a little bit. So eventually he went around behind them trees. And he comes up to the bay pile. You still see him smelling. He's smelling that those leaves there. Now, I didn't go in that corn pile. There's no scent there. It's been 3 or 4 days since we've been there. So he's not smelling anything like that. But see him smelling? He's smelling he's smelling them limbs there. I found that pretty interesting. He smelled the leaves before. Now he's smelling those limbs. He's trying to figure out what that odor is. Now, once again, he's been standing there trying to figure it out. I could have shot him 50 times. So he eats him a little bait, and he's still a little nervous, so eventually he just eased off without ever blowing. So that was the first reaction. All right, let's look at the second one. It's about 15 minutes later, and I had this other buck come in. And it's getting dark. I mean, it's 10 minutes to dark. Once again, you got to remember how the scent's blowing. And he basically is going to stay in that position, licking his nose, trying to figure out that smell. You just watch him. He's just going to do that head up and down. He's licking the lips. He says, I'm smelling ozone, but I don't know what that is. That's a foreign smell. So obviously the ozone is masking my scent. The same as the first buck, you know, he's going to turn broadside, and I could have shot him 50 times. So, you know, he's confused as to what it is. Fast forward a little bit. Now you see it's starting to really, really get dark. And then you got to remember, he's been standing there for about 2.5 minutes already. He's just locked up. And he's starting to get a little nervous. Now this one did, when he eased off, he blew one time. Their nose is amazing, how they can smell. He just knows something's not quite right. Once again, that's been coming up on 4 minutes. He ain't moved from that spot. He's still looking. So there's 4.5 minutes. You see, trying to zoom in when it's dark. You know, he's doing the same thing the other one did. The other one did feed, but this guy never did. He just sat there. So, you know, that's the kind of reaction. You know, he could have, the 3 reactions is, one, they could have done nothing. The second one was what they're doing, where they were confused and just couldn't figure out what that foreign odor is. And the third one is where they just blow and run away. Now, he's confused, so he's fixing to ease off because he realizes that's just a foreign object. So, interesting video, though. Once again, a broadside could have shot him, you know, theoretically. So, I think the Ozonics work in this Georgia condition. So, now we watch these videos of this Ozonics, us using the Ozonics. Now, it's not 100%. Nobody's going to guarantee you 100% reduction. I mean, even if you live in a bubble, the bubble's got to get there. But you're not going to have 100%. But I've been pretty happy with it. I felt like this is probably the worst conditions in those 2 videos I showed you that I could possibly have for these Ozonics. And it passed. I mean, clearly you could see the deer were confused, and eventually they couldn't figure it out. And because it was a foreign odor, they eventually, one of them eased off, one of them blew off as he left. But I could have shot them 50 times while they were there. So if that had been a big buck, I think I would have been okay. So anyway, this is the first week. Like I said, I wanted to throw this out at you guys, and as we keep using it, we're gonna keep bringing you videos and keep updating it, because I just find it an interesting subject, and I plan on using it in my bow stands, my tower stands, and my ground blinds. I plan on using it all year, so we'll see what the deer react to it, and see, you know, keep proving that this thing works in this condition and it doesn't work in these conditions. So anyway, so thanks for watching Reality Hunt Club. Leave me some leave me some reviews on our Facebook page if you've used Ozonics. And it's the Reality Hunt Club on Facebook or Hunt 365 TV on Facebook. And tell me your encounters with the Ozonics. I'm really interested to see what other people think about it. So thanks for watching Reality Hunt Club, and stay tuned for more webisodes.
If you like this show, watch our other shows at hunt365.tv. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel by clicking the button on the screen, or connect with us and receive notices of all our new episodes by liking our Facebook page.